Before we get into our session, let's take a few moments to center ourselves, create a space of calmness, focus, so that we can continue with our work together. So let's begin by just being in a comfortable position. You can close your eyes if you wish to, and take a deep breath through your nose, filling your lungs. Hold for a moment, and then exhale through your mouth. Again, repeat. Deep breath through your nose. Hold, and then exhale. Breathing in deeply and exhaling fully, allowing your body to relax with each breath. Now gently bring your attention to your body and notice if there are any areas of discomfort, tension. And with every exhale, imagine releasing that tension, letting it flow out of your body. As you continue to breathe deeply, shift your focus inwards. Imagine a warm, gentle light at the center of your chest. This light represents your core, a place of calm and clarity. And with every breath, allow this light to grow and spread a warmth and relaxation through your body. Now think about the relationships in your life. Picture someone you care about, a recent conflict that you may have experienced, or a continuous conflict. Without getting caught up in the details or the emotions, simply acknowledge that conflict is a natural part of relationships. As you hold this image in your mind, continue to breathe deeply, allowing the warm light within you from your center of your chest expand. Imagine this light reaching out to the person you're thinking of, or more than one person, creating a bridge of understanding and compassion between the two of you, or more of you. And in this moment, set an intention for the session today. It might be to gain a new perspective, to find inner peace, or to learn strategies to navigate conflicts more efficiently. Whatever is your intention, hold it gently in your mind and know that you are in a safe place. Take a few more deep breaths, feeling the connection to your core self, this warm light of clarity and compassion. Whenever you're ready, bring your awareness back to the room, wiggling your toes and fingers, and gently open your eyes and be here. Now, our session today is about navigating relationships and conflicts, any relationship, and key to building resilient, stronger bonds. So what we'll do is we'll start by understanding relationship conflicts, understand the impact of unresolved conflicts, and what could be some of the strategies, and then put a perspective of IFS, internal family system, into it, because then we'll get into a session, and then use the session as a way for you to bring more clarity and probably some resolution. And then we'll get into sound session to take away whatever is there that comes up, and then we'll get into a live Q&A at the end of the hour. Okay, so let's begin. So let's move toward bringing this understanding about what is conflict or what is relationship conflict. So relation conflict occurs when there are disagreements or differences between individuals in a relationship, any kind of relationship. Can be partner, can be parents, can be child, can be friends, can be coworkers. And these differences can be anything, including opinions, needs, desires, or values. For example, you may experience conflict when you want to spend a weekend relaxing at home, but your partner prefers to go and socialize. Or you are very agitated with a friend because he or she is always late or cancel last minute. Or there is a specific family member with whom your every conversation ends up into some kind of verbal uh, disagreement or fight. So conflicts can happen anywhere between any relationship. Now, common sources is first one is miscommunication. So often conflict arises from some misunderstanding or assumption. For instance, one person might interpret a casual comment as a criticism. That leads to an argument. Unmet needs. So when our emotional or practical needs aren't met, it can create tension. Imagine feeling unsupported by your best friend and or a family member when you're going through a tough time at work. And this unmet needs then of support then sparkle conflict or different values. So conflicts frequently stem from fundamental difference in values or priority. For example, one person might prioritize career or advancement while the other one values family time, leading to disagreement. Or, for example, if there is a different perspective that is taken by one family member versus their choices, gender choices, uh, career choices, and it's not in agreement. So it can come from basic aspects of difference of values as well. Now, uh, from a prevalence and importance, normally conflicts are inevitable in any relationship. Every conflict, no matter how strong, any relationship, no matter how strong, will have conflict and will encounter conflict at some point in time. For example, even happiest couples or 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 brothers or sisters will have argument that can come from aspect about choices, about finances, about household responsibility. I mean, this can come from anywhere. Now, conflicts prompt should be promptly managed effectively. This is important for health of relationship. Unresolved conflicts can lead to long-term negative effects. Mental health is one of the big one. Chronic conflicts can contribute to stress, anxiety, and even depression. Imagine constantly feeling tension at home from because of arguments that are left unresolved. That can create a pervasive sense of unease within the household. Relationship quality. So unaddressed conflicts can erode trust and intimacy, leading to emotional distance and resentment. Over time, small unresolved issues can start to accumulate, resulting in significant rifts between partners, friends, family members. So, in summary, understanding the nature and prevalence of relationship conflict is the first step toward effective resolution. By recognizing that conflicts are a normal part of relationships and resolve. And so let's get into some of the strategies, which is important. Now, there is one is self-awareness and emotional regulation. So recognizing your emotion, it is essential to become aware of your own emotions during conflict. For example, if you notice you're feeling angry or defensive, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling? And what triggered this response? So in the middle of the conflict, if you're able to take a pause saying, I'm suddenly becoming angry, what triggered this? What was said? And technique, so learning to manage your emotion is really crucial. So breathing is a very uh, any form of breathing. So you can do the breathing like we did at the beginning. Be deep from your nose, breathe out fully from pause, then breathe out fully from your mouth. That's a good one. Heart math has a very nice technique where you bring your focus onto your heart and then breathe into your heart with an intention. This helps a lot. So what it does, it creates a gap which allows you to step away for a few moments and then come back into the same conversation differently. So you change your energy. Of course, there's an aspect of what we call courageous communication, which is listening actively, means concentrating on what the person is saying without interrupting. Most of the time, arguments start because we start to interrupt. For example, nodding, summarizing that what you just heard. So if you take a moment, pause, and make a reflection of what you just understood, this helps both persons to be heard and respected. So that's one aspect. So just listen truly and then make an interpretation of this is what you meant to say, or this is what I understood. And there's another aspect to that which is called empathetic communication, is expressing understanding and validation of the other person's feelings. For example, saying that I understand you feel hurt when I forgot your plans. What can do is it can create something like a supportive dialogue, and you can do the same for yourself. And that just for you to know, this is how I felt when you said that. So you see, so you're bringing a third person into context, but actually you're speaking for your part, and which is start to be a very, very positive way to come out. And then we get into something called unblending and speaking for part. So this is crucial in the communication. So you're actually starting to speak on behalf of your parts from a place of self, which means compassion and curiosity, rather than letting your prospective part speak directly. For example, instead of saying, you never listen to me, you might say, a part of me feels unheard and frustrated when it seems like my thoughts are dismissed. So instead of saying, you don't hear me, which is like, goes this way, you say, part of me feels unheard and frustrated when it seems that my thoughts are dismissed. This approach reduces defensiveness and opens space for more constructive communication. Non-harmful self-disclosure, share your feelings and needs without blaming your partner or the other person or your friend. For example, instead of accusing the person of not caring, express your feeling by saying something like, I feel lonely when we don't spend time together. I I need more quality time with you. It's just an example. And then, of course, there's the whole aspect of collaboration. Identify areas where you can be flexible and find solutions that are acceptable to both parties. For example, if you disagree on spending habits, take example, you might agree on budget that allows for both savings occasionally. Okay, if you disagree of how we spend time together, then you can agree on that, or any other disagreement, find a common ground. But then it starts first with the speaking for part and then going and finding common ground within the resolution mode. The other aspect is another approach, conflict as problem to solve together rather than battle to win. For example, if you're arguing on something, work together to find something which can be agreeable and in preference for both of them, instead of only this is what I want, saying what can be for both of us. So it's part of having a communication, which is, I hear you, but this is what I want you to know about what I feel. That's what part of me feels like. So navigating is in the middle of a conflict is important. Now, if you're already into a conflict, which is why you're here as well, so then how do you build resilience into your bonds using IFS as a perspective. So what we understood is that from an IFS perspective, when we have conflicts within relationship, this typically happens between two conflicting parts. One that has what we call a critic manager. Okay, it's basically this part is harsh in judgment, often criticizes and blames the other person behavior or perceived flaw. For example, it might nitpick about small things or make derogatory comments in an attempt to control or change the other person behavior. So this is what the critic does, okay, the critic manager. And the impact is that this behavior can create a defensive or a hurt response in the other person, which then escalates the conflict. So it's important to recognize that this part and understand his intention to protect us, even if its methods are not very helpful, okay, which is what we will try and do. So there's a critic manager, and then there is an abundant hurt child uh, exile, which is a hurt person, the hurt little girl or boy. Now, the hurt child or hurt exile, this is a vulnerable part that carries a pain from the past rejections, or past betrayals, or past emotional injuries. When triggered, it feels rejected, unloved, or unworthy, and then this part then starts to manifest itself by either going into crying or getting angry or into rage or into withdrawal or even into clinginess, because the abundant child exile can cause an intense emotional reaction leading to a behavior that further strains the relationship. Now, recognizing that you have a hurt child helps us to understand the depth of our emotional response and why certain conflicts create those kind of response, and hence they may feel painful. The conflict seems painful. So how does IFS handle conflicts? First is recognize that these parts, when they arise, for example, if you notice when your critic manager starts to speak, or when the abundant child hurt feels triggered. So that's first thing, saying, oh, now this is my critic that is very critical to what I'm hearing is speaking up, or this is the one that is remembering a hurt or abandonment or a betrayal that is speaking up. So recognizing that there's something that's there is a key, is a first step. And then of course unblending, which we do in a process to understand where does it come from, what does it want, acknowledging them, and have a much more, when they get heard, the part, then they may switch to a different way of how they will do the dialogue or how you will do internal dialogue, which is listening to the internal parts allows you to have a different outcome while in the middle of a conflict or middle of getting escalated towards a conflict. So for example, we'll ask critic manager why it feels need to be criticized, or ask to the hurt abandoned child what it needs to feel safe and loved. And validation of the feelings or understanding the critic manager will allow more compassion to come in towards yourself and hence the partner. And the idea is we want to transform from criticism to request. So transform critical comments from critic manager into constructive request. For example, instead of saying you never listen to me, when you start to say I feel unheard and would appreciate if you would have we could have more focused communication or conversation, now you're speaking for the part. And addressing the need of the abandoned hurt child in a safe way also helps to start sharing the feeling of hurt and ask for reassurance to support from the other person. So it switches from being accusatory to being, this is how it feels to me, and can we do it differently? Okay. So as we move into session now, what we are going to do is we are going to identify for you with the conflict that you're having, and we will use these principles to explore and resolve the conflict constructively by recognizing, addressing needs of our internal part. We can then create the greater empathy and understanding, ultimately build stronger and more resilient relationship. Okay. So I want you to think about, so let's get into work. So think about, and I send as well, I think the simplest question is think about a relationship that you feel unresolvable, or more than one if you want to make a list, and choose one. Yeah, think of that relationship that you want to work on. And think of the situation where, where there are conflicts within that relationship. Okay, here we go. So just take a moment to find a comfortable spot where you can either sit down, ensure that you are relaxing. You can have a pen and paper for jotting down your insight if you need, or you can do afterwards. Now just begin by centering yourself with your breath slowly. Inhale slowly, deeply through your nose, letting your lungs filled up, and then exhale gently through your mouth. Repeat again. And now let's take a moment to establish your safe place. So think about a person or a place or a memory that brings you a sense of serenity and protection and wellness. This safe space is your sanctuary, providing you with comfort and stability whenever you need. So just think about a person, a place, or a memory that makes you feel safe, protected, and let it know that if you have a need during the session, you will invite it in so that you feel nurtured and safe. Now, with your safe space clearly envisioned, let's shift our focus to the relationship where you have conflict that you would like to work in the session. So see yourself being in that situation now. As you see yourself in that situation, see if you can connect to the part of you that is critic to the other person, which is judgmental, quick, very critical to the other person with whom you're in conflict. Now notice any physical sensations or images linked to that. Any discomfort, tightness, or other body response. Now connect to the feelings or the emotion attached to that situation. So when you connect to this area in your body or when you connect to this image, notice what you feel. And see if you can become curious and, if possible, compassionate, but at least curious to say that we are going to explore these sensations in my body or in the image. So I'm just curious to know what all it holds. If you hear voices that appear judgmental or overtly trying to rationalize, ask them politely to step back into a waiting room, promising that you will return to it within the session or later so that they can create space for the part that needs attention, the critic. So just connect to the critic part in your body or the image. Be curious and ask it about its purpose for you. What does it want for you? What is its intention for you? Ask a question saying, what is your intention for me? And notice what you hear. See if it makes sense. And if it does, just acknowledge. I get it. And then inquire, what impact are you creating in my life or the world around me? And notice what you hear. What impact are you creating in my life or the world around me? Now ask it, what are you afraid would happen to me? Notice what you hear. What are you afraid would happen to me? What, go further and ask, what is your biggest fear? Or what are you protecting, trying to protect me from? So see if you can acknowledge what you hear and say, I understand. This is what you're protecting me from. Acknowledge it. And notice how that sensation is now, or how the image feels to you. And now ask another question. When did it all start? How old were you when you took on this role or this habit? And if possible, let me know what was going on then. So it'll tell you an age, and it might point you to something that was going on in your life at the time. And just stay compassionate and curious as you hear. And so see if that makes sense. Just acknowledge it and ask one more question. What belief did that younger self create from that experience that I could be, or you could be the part, could be carrying? So what belief did the younger self create from that experience? And see if you can acknowledge and thank this part for letting you know what it did. And ask it what needs to happen for this part to relax or be less present. What needs to happen for this part to be less present or be able to be relaxed? So I'll tell you some actions. See if you can acknowledge that and ask it if it can name itself. Give a name, whatever is a name, so that you can go back and work with it later on. So just ask for its name. Take note of the name you got and just thank it. Thank it for what it brought to your awareness. And let it know that over the next few days, you're going to be connecting with it and asking a few more questions every day so you become more aware and much more understanding this part. So let it know that you are going to come back. And thank it and ask it to see if it's ready to step back so that you can speak to the other part that we'll invite in now. Thank it and you can step back. And now go back into that conflict situation and see if you can find a part that feels like abandoned or hurt, which often gets triggered in a conflict. That feels like abundant or hurt, and often gets triggered in the conflict. Just invite it in. See if it's willing to show itself up. And notice any physical sensations that you feel, or if you see images, or if you feel any discomfort, tightness in your body. Just breathe into that area. And notice how you feel towards this area when you think about it. Now see if you can become curious as we explore into the sensations in your body or into the image. Just become curious so that you're going to ask a few questions so that you can get some response and create a relationship with this part. So just be curious. And come back to this abundant heart part and ask it, what is your intention for me? What do you want for me? And notice what you hear. And see if you can acknowledge what you heard. Make sense? If it does, just acknowledge. Say, got it. I understand what your intention is. Ask a question saying, tell me, what are you afraid would happen to me? And what is your biggest fear for me? Take a moment to hear it. See if you can acknowledge his biggest fear for you. And ask a question, since when have you felt this way? How old was I when you started to have this fear? Or the beginning? What was going on then? See if you can understand a little bit about the beginning and what was going on at that time. And just acknowledge it. You get an age, you may have what was going on then. Just acknowledge and stay compassionate and curious. And ask another question saying, what belief did this younger self create from that experience? See if you can acknowledge the belief. I understand. Just acknowledge it. And ask it, saying, okay, what needs to happen for it to be less present and be relaxed? What should happen? And it'll tell you some actions for you. What needs to happen for it to relax and be less present? So those are actions for you. So just acknowledge that. Take note of it. And then ask it to name itself, saying, how do I call you? Whatever name comes up, just take note of it. And thank it for its presence. And see if you can invite both parts, the critic and the abundant part. Just invite them both. You know where you feel them, you know their names. And just stay curious and bring in a little bit courage. And ask these two parts to have a conversation where they can express their need, understand, and know each other, and share their roles in keeping you safe and safe from re-experiencing the pain of the past. And you can ask to the critic part, saying, well, being critical, it might prevent to move towards resolution in conflict, and help to the abundant part, that allowing some emotional experience is part of healing. So just guide them and hear from both, and let them talk to each other and see what comes up. Now take a moment to share with these two parts your vision about your well-being and how you want to move forward. So let them know, this is where I would like to go. And if they would be happy and supportive toward your vision, so just let them know. Now take a moment to thank them all, and the others that came up, that stood by, maybe didn't come in, but they were all there. Thank all of them for being here and acknowledging their roles. And let them know that you're going to continue. You're going to work next days with those parts. And even if they want to go further, you'll go further to heal the hurt parts. And just thank them for their presence, for helping you in this healing journey moving forward. And take a moment before we transition into the sound. Okay, so the microphone has changed. So just for, if you're coming first time, so let me give you a brief. So sound healing is about using tuning forks to work through your, let's say, biofield. And we start by opening the center below the feet. Then we open the center above the head. So we create this flow of, let's say, energy between all the different chakras or energy centers. And then once we open that, we run a pendulum to know which energy center, the chakra you have to work with. I will let you know which one comes up for you based on your intention and why you're here. And then we'll go into whichever one comes up. So it can be, let's say, the heart chakra comes up. So we'll start with heart. And then it also says left side, right side. So we work on that. We start with from the time of conception. So we basically in this biofield, it starts at the edge where you are being created and then comes to your next to your body, which is a present moment. Okay, and then it goes into the center, which is also crossing your what comes from your mother or father, depends left or right. And so we'll go through that using tuning forks. Whenever I'll find an age or some emotion, I will let you know and see if it means something for you at the moment. And if it does, just connect to it. And the way you do it is you also take a breath. So the breath is a little bit more heavy, stronger. So you take a deep breath in through your nose and then breathe out from your mouth, strong breathe, okay? And we continue. Sometime if it's very huge, we are going to also, you will hear me say, ha, and so you release because that's how it works, okay? We'll go 5 minutes overboard from a timing point of view. But let's go, okay? So I'm going to start below your feet and then top of your head and then into the field, okay? Here we go. So I'm starting below your feet. Okay, take a deep breath in. So I'm opening this channel from below your feet to the top of your head. Okay, I'm going to ground you in now. We're going to go top of the head. Do the same. Opening a channel from top of your head to your body, to your feet. So take a deep breath in. Okay, so we have done that. Now we are going to go into I'm running a pendulum, you don't hear anything. From your feet to the top of your head, just to know which center to work today. Based on your affirmation before, based on what you wish. So I passed the third center, which is the solar plexus, says no. I'm on the heart, and it says yes. Okay. Okay, very strongly left side. No, on the right side. Although I gave an example, it looks like your system wants to work on the mother side, which is the left side. So this is where basically there is all the grief and losses, and sometimes also depression that could be there. This is where it is held in the system. Okay. I'm going to start at the time of conception, so that's where we start, and we'll use a different tuning fork as well. 144 hertz. Okay, and then we'll go inside and see what comes up. Here we go. So, time of conception. Yeah. So the first word that comes in is fear of coming into the world. It's in the second center. So it's not about the parent, but it's about the little being that is coming in. So see if you can acknowledge and just send a message to the little one. It is just starting to be in the womb. I don't know, it's going to be okay. Your words mean a lot. So just see if you can acknowledge. While I'm holding the tuning fork. So take a breath. Okay, so now I'm into you're still in mother's womb, pregnancy. Yeah. The word I heard is arguments, so probably parents, but also heard by the baby. And it says shouting, somebody's shouting there. So this is about 4 months, 3-4 months into womb. So take a breath, let the little one know you are going to take care. It's up to us. That's the word you can say. Take a breath. I'm still holding there. See if you can acknowledge. Yeah, pass a reaffirming message to the little one there. She's 4 months into the womb, kind of. And it's like saying I'm taking my mother's pain as well, something like that. Okay, now I agreed to move up to birth time. So we are at the time of the birth. Just send love to the little one and to the parents and the nursing staff, everybody around. She's a bit afraid of being coming into the world, so it's he or she. Okay, move forward. Yeah. So when I was about 8 years old, there's some kind of loss. Maybe 7 or 8. There's a loss that happened there. Could be in the family or for the little girl, boy. If it's relevant, whatever message you would like to pass to reassure, please do. So now it's 15-year-old. Again, sense of loss. The word abandonment came up. Yeah, as if it feels acknowledged. See if you can do that. And now it's coming at 22. It's like it's unable to express its hurt. It's keeping to itself. Dealing it on its own. Yeah, acknowledged. Around 35. Yeah, sadness, depression, some form of. Yeah, acknowledged. So now it's going to the mother's side of the story. So what happened to the mother in her earlier life that may have brought into your life as well? So just send love to mother. If there's a conflict with her or around her, just let her know you will work through it within yourself and maybe with her. Take a breath. Okay, whatever has come up, we are going to release it out. Take a breath. Okay, we are going to start to close. So this process continues for 48 hours. And just surround you with a cocoon, 528 hertz. And bring in. Let's take a moment to close our session. Just take a deep breath in, deep breath out. As you continue to breathe, bring to your mind the insights and the experiences from our session today. Reflect on your new understanding you've gained about yourself and your relationships. Imagine a warm, gentle light at the center of your chest. This light represents your inner wisdom and compassion. And with every breath, allow this light to grow and expand, filling your entire body with warmth and kindness. As this light expands, let it reach out to any parts of you that may have felt hurt, judged, or vulnerable. Imagine this light surrounding these parts with love and understanding, and acknowledging their presence and offering them comfort. And now extend this light to the other person or persons with whom you experience conflict. And imagine this light creating a bridge of empathy and connection between the two of you. Imagine both of you bathed in this warm light, opening to healing and understanding. Now set an intention to carry this sense of compassion and understanding with you as you move forward. Know that you have the tools and insights to navigate conflict more constructively, fostering stronger and more resilient relationships. Take a few deep breaths, feeling this light of compassion and wisdom within you. When you feel ready, bring your awareness back into the room and gently open your eyes, feeling refreshed. Thank you for your presence and participation today.